What is going on, coin traders and algo fam? Looking at Algorand ALGO on that ticker. Wanted to do a quick little update video if you do like these type of shorter little update videos, just kind of on the current shorter term setup anyway, and maybe a little bit of the closer term outlook. Definitely let me know and drop me a comment down in the section below. And also, if you're not following me over here on Twitter, drop me a follow or X, rather at coin_trades is the handle over here on X or Twitter, whatever you prefer. Do talk a lot about Algorand and provide a lot of updates, both fundamental as well as technical. So make sure to go ahead and drop me a follow and have a discussion over on Twitter or X. All right, so do want to start off talking about the daily time frame here. And like the tweet mentioned, we're talking about a potential for a nice breakout opportunity right now for Algorand. A few of the things that we're looking at, and notably right now, is we're starting to see a nice bull flag pattern coming to almost completion right now. And the main thing that has us knowing that is that we did kick off this 12-period EMA. Now, if we zoom out, you can actually see how much of a support this whole exponential band has been ever since we did have our bullish flip and cross coming off of our local bottom right now, and we did bottom at a local low of 8.79 cents. So like we said, ever since we did flip this into bullish below the 26, so it still maintains support in between the 50 as well as the 26-period EMA, and actually never revisited that level and zone. So a lot of opportunity still, especially because as we recovered, broke back bullish above this 12-period EMA, did maintain closing support on top of the 26. So ever since we did actually on the 1st of December break extremely bullish on top of that and have our nice little pop and spike here, we didn't have any sort of bullish closes bearish closes on the daily chart anyway, below this 12-period EMA. So I had a nice little rally, consolidated sideways a little bit, and maintained a very nice and strong close on top of this 12-period exponential moving average. So typically that is what we do find when we have these very nice breakouts. We do have a pretty big air gap on top of the exponential moving averages. So typically we do see a little bit of consolidation and a slight retracement to allow these exponential moving averages to catch up. We do see a nice kickoff and bounce once again. That does provide our next pop-in opportunity. Now, one thing to note is that we actually didn't have as much of a pop in a rally coming off of this most recent move like we did when we did have our initial spike here back on the 1st of December. So in that instance, let's go ahead and do a proper mapping here. So all the way up to the top of the upper candle, about a 70% gain. So even here from the low up to the top, about a 42% gain. So we are starting to lose steam. And even if we look over here on the daily chart, losing a little bit of peak for a bullish volume as well. So did have our peak volume for a bullish daily volume come in 80.774 million. So that was the volume that we did see on the 9th of December here. And so typically when we do start tapering off in terms of bullish volume, that does start to be a little bit of a toppy indicator, which also corresponds with some other topping indicators such as the RSI. So let's actually go ahead and talk about that right now. Let's go ahead and pull up the RSI Relative Strength Index. And right now, as you can see, getting a little bit of bullish divergence, or bearish divergence actually rather. So did have our high, and then now are seeing a lower high come in, yet meanwhile a higher high on the price. So a little bit of that slowing down indication, which also complements another indication, just like we talked about with volume here. But like we mentioned, we are still seeing very nice support coming out of the exponential moving averages, so I would expect a little bit more upside pressure out of those until we actually see a close below, and then we can invalidate that as an indication. So we always use indicators until they're no longer working, but right now we know that since we are seeing the 12-period EMA as a very nice indication of some upside direction, that is one of the things that we can think that will be a potential opportunity and sign, especially now completing this longer term bull flag on the daily, that we could be looking at a little bit further upside gain. Now, while we're looking at volume as well, do notice that we are seeing a decrease in bearish volume, specifically on this daily bull flag here. So a little bit of seller's exhaustion going on. So that is another confirming sign that we could be looking up and actually seeing some of these levels hold, and yet also price levels to the downside, looking at about 22 cents. 22.21 when we did see very nice rejection from that level before, but also a very nice defense as well as meeting up on top with this 12-period EMA. So very nice level to hold and defend right along the 22.2 level. So if we actually want to talk about a potential extension for this bull flag, what we could get if we actually do get a little bit of a bullish breakout here, then essentially we'd be looking at from the bottom to the length of the flagpole as that breakout target. So that could potentially see us running up to about the 30 cent level. Now, if we actually flip over into the weekly and zoom out, we know that the 28-cent level is actually going to be extremely relevant. So if we actually do draw another level right along that 28-cent line, you can see how that would be one of our very nice upside targets in the event we do get a bullish break in continuation. So that is going to be our target and zone from about 28 cents all the way up to about 30. I would expect a lot of resistance to be coming up, and then in probably about that time frame, we would be looking at an announcement being confirmed or not confirmed for the Bitcoin ETF. Either way, decision is probably going to be a sell the news event more than likely. So that is kind of why we are starting to be a little bit more cautious as well, especially as we do approach some longer term up overhead resistance points. Now, while we're looking at the weekly as well, very nice formation, but one of the things that we're seeing is that we actually haven't had a significant bearish retracement on this weekly. So now on the weekly, we actually are seeing overextended levels. So we're at 71.44, and then the current week, we're looking at 71.99. So definitely a need to retrace and actually see a dip below the 70 line here. And then also looking at stochastic RSI as well. Current levels 96.23, 96.234 both. So very much in that point where we're starting to get smashed up against the 100 line, not really much more room to go besides actually having a retracement on this oscillator for the weekly time frame. So now, while we're looking at this weekly RSI, if we go ahead and zoom out, you can see that we've only actually gotten into these overbought levels for this RSI in the weekly time frame only a small handful of times, and both times it was a significant topping indicator. So looking back to the left here, the last time was actually 6th of September on this weekly candle back in 21, which was our very big peak for this extremely big bullish weekly bull volume candle, or magnitude of this bullish candle rather. And so obviously that was a lower high on the peak for RSI, so a little bit of that bearish divergence as well. Now, if we do look at the relative strength index for the stochastic, so the stochastic RSI, you can also see how we were looking at the same sort of scenario, getting up very close to right on the same level. So in that instance, 197.3. Looking to the left of 1 week, we're looking at 96.59, 96.59. So potentially that is another indication. Now, obviously, we are not being predictive at all. We're just being reactive, but we also need to know what is in store, because when we look at indicators like this, that does mean that we typically have to go with what they're telling us, which does mean risk starts to increase. But like we know is that just because we're in overbought levels doesn't mean we can't still go higher. So let's actually go ahead and look at the beginning of the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 here. And we actually saw this RSI get super far extended despite having week over week of it being in that overbought level. And that's kind of what we're actually looking at right now. So that could be a potential sign that we still have another couple of weeks left, which would actually probably see us align with that January 10th date for an anticipated ETF announcement. So candles are actually similar here as well, and as you can see, had a bullish cross on this daily or the weekly for the exponential moving average. And once we had that happen, we actually saw another few weeks of that explosive move to get to our peak weekly RSI before that retracement, which actually didn't even retrace all the way down to these previous levels. So again, that's not to say we couldn't go higher from here and even blow past that big resistance point from 28 to 30 cents, but we do have to be mindful of bearish scenarios and always have a plan and have that impact our risk management strategy. Now, based on this weekly chart, if we do want to run a little bit more of a bullish case, I would anticipate that if we do actually run up and smash this 30-cent resistance level, that we would likely in that instance see a pretty easy run up to about the 40-cent level as well, because looking left, this is our big level of zone and consolidation that we actually hit before the big massive FTX crash and flush back of November of last year. So essentially what that means is if we can break through that big resistance point, then I would expect actually to see prices oscillating in that overall zone and level before a longer term breakout could essentially happen, which would start to confirm this is a little bit more of that longer term cup and handle type pattern. Obviously, I think that would be an extremely bullish case and scenario right now, so that's not necessarily the most likely prediction in my opinion right now. I would still, like I said, expect prices to potentially, in the event of a bullish breakout from the current daily bull flag pattern, to run up to about 28 to 30 cent level. All right, so I wanted to flip over here into the 2-day chart because like we talked about on the weekly, on the longer term, we're still overextended and it's not really any different on this 2-day. So in fact, we're looking at a little bit of longer of a pattern. And as you can see on this 2-day, we actually have had it as very nice guide. As you can see, shadow bouncing off on this whole overall consolidation pattern here. We had it actually riding the downside or the on top level as providing the downside support rather for this 12-period EMA on this 2-day. And then again on the recent consolidation did have a very nice wick and bounce off of that 12-period EMA level as well. So we know that in consolidation type moves, typically we will see this EMA running up and getting some sort of test and retracement, whether that be a massive pullback or whether that just be sideways trading for a little bit longer of a prolonged period. Now, if we do pull up relative strength index for this chart as well, as you can see, still sort of same thing going on. And we do have a little bit of lower highs going on the recent move. And so we do know that that does mean a retracement likely to be coming, especially with the daily RSI on this 2-day being so high. So current level on the current candle is still 73.66. And typically we do know that we do get a little bit of retracement, but we could still see it sitting sideways, especially on top of this 22-cent support. So if we do lose 22-cent support and as well as the 12-period EMA support, that would trigger a little bit more downside pressure where we would be looking down to about the 20-cent level and potentially even down to about the 18-cent level as well, which would be the next test off this 24-period exponential moving average. Now, I do want to flip over into Bitcoin really quick, just because we have been in a longer period consolidation move for Bitcoin, especially as we do anticipate a little bit of ETF announcement. But like we said, with a lot of the holidays as well as people being gone and not much happening, anticipation for January 10th as that ETF announcement date is likely going to come in, and probably a little bit more sideways action until then. But this overall tightening range pattern for this daily is going to be very confirming when we actually do get a breakout, either bullish or bearish in the event of a sell the news type event. So overall, the reason we are looking at this Bitcoin chart right now talking about Algorand is that overall we're still sitting sideways, so nothing significant is coming out of the crypto space. So even if we do sit sideways in this overall longer term bull flag type pattern for Algorand, that wouldn't necessarily be coming as a surprise in that instance. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts and predictions about what's happening right now in the Algorand space, as well as how you like this new type of video format and these quicker little update type videos. Do appreciate all the continued love and support as well. And if you have not done so just yet, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you did enjoy the video today. Don't forget to drop me a follow over on Twitter or X if you have not done so just yet as well. But that is going to go ahead and wrap it up. So stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you back in the next video.